Greetings, it's Ian from RTO here, and welcome to the first collaboration of the year. I know we've said it before, but officially, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Ian.
Here we go again, folks. People have been wanting to know if we're going to do this again, so of course we are. So today we're going to, we've done all the singles, so we're going to look at some albums now. So today we're going to look at our top 10 albums, number one albums from the 1970s. Usual thing, Richard goes first, I'll go second, and I'm supplying all the pictures today. No albums, it's all my little pictures, so lots of work to do for this one, but it's all good fun. This has been hard because I like some music from the 70s, from the real heavy metal to the pop, so very varied. So
I think our list is going to be very different.
I think so as well, because I've got there's more stuff. I've got a lot of heavy stuff in mine. Obvious. Okay, would you like to kick us off then, Richard?
I will indeed. And again, to start with, I'll say I'm only allowing one album per artist. And as I mentioned on your live stream, there's an album released at the end of '69, got to number one in the end of '69, but it was also number one at the start of 1970. The Beatles' Abbey Road. I am not allowed to count that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
It's a 60s album. I've got the 10 here, but I have actually got 6 bubbling unders, which I haven't made up my mind which 3 I'm going to pick because it's that difficult. But coming in at number 10 for me is one of the most successful albums ever. It spent a gazillion weeks on the charts, but it only ever got to number one for 1 week in 1978, and that is Fleetwood Mac's Rumours, which is an absolutely wonderful album. 3 great songwriters, Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks, and Christine McVie. I'm more a Lindsey Buckingham fan than any of them, but I think whenever you have those 3 songwriters working together, it comes out a fantastic album. Songs like Go Your Own Way, Dreams, You Make Loving Fun, Don't Stop, Secondhand News, Songbird, all absolute classics. Gold Dust Woman, another brilliant one. The only song I'm not as keen on is Oh Daddy by Christine McVie, but the rest of the album is fantastic. And not forgetting, of course, The Chain with that bass line from John McVie, which was nicked for the Formula One in the 1980s.
Yes.
But absolutely brilliant album. It's still in the charts now, I believe, and it gets my number 10.
Yeah, I'm not going to say too much on that. But yeah, very good choice. One of my, I think it was my number one album when I ranked them, so we know where that's going. Okay, my number 10 is from December 1971. 6 weeks at number one, and then it was number one again in 1972 for 2 weeks, and it's Electric Warrior, T-Rex. I think this is the album that really I remember a second cousin of mine that's a little bit older than me having this because I love the cover.
Yeah, brilliant.
And that was it. I was thinking, I mean, it's got Jeepster on it. What else has it got on it? Get It On and The Motivator, which are just 3 cool tracks. And I just love that album. It's probably one of my most played T-Rex albums in my collection.
Yeah, well, that's a classic album, and I won't say too much about it now either. So I'll go on to my number 9, and it's my favourite Rolling Stones album. It's from 1973, 2 weeks at number 1, and it's Goat's Head Soup. Now, a lot of people go, it's not as good as Sticky Fingers or Exile on Main Street. But the thing about Goat's Head Soup is so varied in styles. You get all different types of music on it. You get your beautiful acoustic ballad of Angie. You have the almost funky sound of Heartbreaker, do, whatever it's called. And then, Silver Train, which is almost like a copy of All Down the Line, but I think it's just Stones at their sort of bluesy, catchy best. Star, also known as a Star Effer. Right, Absolutely brilliant, and Jagger's vocals in that are really great, especially when he's yelping at the end of it. Fantastic. And then there's you get a trippy song like "Can You Hear the Music," which could have sat on Their Satanic Majesty's Request very, very easily. I love it. My favorite Stones album. As I say, got to #1 for 2 weeks in 1973, and that's my number 9.
Yeah, I can't remember where I ranked it, but it's one of them albums that I do play quite a lot. For the same reasons. There's so much diverse on it. It's really good. Okay, my number 9. We're going to 1974, and this one spent 7 weeks at the top, and it's Band on the Run, Wings.
Okay.
An album that was constantly played in our house. Oh, it's got Band on the Run, Jet, and I love Bluebird.
A beautiful song.
Beautiful song. I love Band on the Run. I love the cover. I just love everything about it. It's just a terrific album.
Yeah, I know. I agree, because that's my number 8. Is Band on the Run by Paul McCartney and Wings. I honestly think this is the closest to a Beatles sounding album. You think of "Let Me Roll It," the track could be a John Lennon song.
Yeah.
I always thought that No Words sounded a bit like George Harrison. And if there was ever a song that Ringo Starr could sing as Picasso's last words, or whatever it's called, it sounds like a Ringo type song. But the album is brilliant. It was released in December 73, and it only hit the number 1 due to the singles in 74, Jet and Band on the Run doing so well. But it is fantastic. Even like the acoustic Mimonia, I think is brilliant, and then 1985 at the end. And could you get a catchier song than Mrs. Vanderbilt? I don't think so. Excellent.
Yeah, the trouble is, when you put that album on, you go through the album, and then you put on something else. But in the middle of the day, all of a sudden it comes in your head. Randomly comes in your head. Why? But there is a reason, because it's a great song. Catchy as hell.
It is. It's fantastic. And I also like, at the end of 1985, or 1985 to be precise, it goes into Band on the Run again, just to finish off the album. I always like that.
Yeah, very cleverly done, and Mr. McCartney special there.
Brilliant. So that's my number 8.
My number 8 is 1973. It only spent 1 week at number 1, but it's Slade.
All right. Okay.
Absolutely stonking album. Obviously, it's got the big hits, Mama, We're All Crazy Now, Goodbye to Jane. But the one I really love off this is I Don't Mind.
Great song.
Oh, I think people, I mean, we've had this conversation before, but when you get Slade, there's the single fans, and then there's people like me and you that, yeah, they're good, but we like what's on the albums. And it's a great album. One of the first albums I ever owned. It's battered to hell now. I mean, it got a lot of abuse, but luckily now it's on a lovely disc. But yeah, a great album.
Iconic cover as well with the.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone loves about it.
One of my favorite tracks off that is one that's just written by Noddy himself, and that's The Whole World's Going Crazy, where you really do hear how good a singer Noddy Holder is. Okay, it could smash Glass's voice, it really could, but it's so good, and they do a fantastic version of Let the Good Times Roll on the album as well.
Yes, yeah, it's an all-round fun album.
Yeah, no, great choice. I don't have it, but great choice. Well, my number 7, we go to 1979, and this is an album that stayed 4 weeks in the charts. This has always been my favorite album by them, but I have never ever got fed up with it, and it keeps getting better and better and better for me, and it's Regata de Blanc by The Police. It's got 2 fantastic singles, Message in a Bottle and Walking on the Moon. Love the both of them. 2 other tracks which I think would have made number 1 hits as well. The Bed's Too Big Without You, even though it did chart, but it was a different version that charted, and Bring On the Night. Now, whenever I first bought this, there was a few songs I wasn't that keen on, like Does Anyone Stare and Contact. I really love those songs now. There's not a bad song off it, and I even like the Whimsical on Any Other Day. Absolutely brilliant. And it's by far, well, not by far, it is my favourite Police album, followed by Zenyatta Mandala, but Regatta de Blanc. I just love the sound of it. And that's when the Police were good in the late 70s, very early 80s. Whenever they went, it's like Americanized really with Ghost in the Machine and Synchronicity. I thought they lost an awful lot. Those first three albums with the weird titles were the best.
Yeah, I mean, I think Walking on the Moon, the drum work from Stewart on that is just something else. He was a very underrated drummer, I think. It was a fantastic drummer. I mean, I've seen drum clinics that he's done, and he's absolutely fantastic. Good choice, absolutely brilliant choice. My number 7 is an album that I listened to this week because I'll be ranking this chap very, very soon. It's from 1973, 5 weeks. Mr. David Bowie and Aladdin Sane.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice.
Absolutely brilliant album. I think all the tracks are brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the deep cut things like 1930, 1938, 1970.
Yeah, the title track, Aladdin Sane, yeah.
The Aladdin Sane. Driving Saturday is just
fantastic.
A classic. Okay, it's got Jean Genie on it. I love Jean Genie, but for me, it's my favourite song on this album is Driving
Saturday. Yeah, I know that's my favourite song off it as well.
I think Def Leppard did a cover of it on their covers album.
I'm not sure. I know Morrissey has covered it now.
Yeah, I'm sure it's the one they do off that. It's a brilliant song. I had it on the other day because I'm doing the ranking, and although I know where it sits in my ranking, I just had to play it because you have to. It's a great album.
It is. It's like Ziggy Stardust, but it's like Ziggy has gone to America and picked up the keyboardist Mike Garson, because some of his piano playing, especially in the title track, is completely bonkers, but it was really, really good. And then the ballad at the end has got some beautiful piano as well, Lady Grinning Soul. But yeah, a fantastic album, absolutely fantastic. It didn't make my chart though, but there's a reason for that. Which you will find out. Okay. Excuse me. Right, where are we now? Number 6. One that you have already mentioned, and it's T-Rex's Electric Warrior. Absolutely brilliant album. Not a bad song off it. My highlights are the opener Mambo Sun, which I love. The 2 singles, Get It On and not Bang a Gong, Get It On. That's the real title. And Jeepster, fantastic. Even though Jeepster is a steal from an old Howlin' Wolf song, and it's a real steal, but it still works. And then you get the Motivator, which is like Get It On Part 2, but it's got a really good groove. I also like Rip Off at the very end because it's so different, really, really good. And then some really lovely ballads like Cosmic Dancer is now one of his most famous songs because it was in Billy Elliot, I believe. And Life's a Gas is gorgeous as well. Not a bad song off it. Even the bluesy Lean Woman Blues, which I used to not be that keen on, I really do like it now. And so 8 weeks at number 1 over 2 different, once at the end of 71 and then again start of 72. Absolutely fantastic album. Yeah. And you're right, the cover is so iconic, absolutely brilliant. So I guess my number 6.
Okay, my number 6. Now this is where we probably will go a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably one of my favourite rock bands ever. Go to 1972. It spent 2 weeks in April, and then it was number 1 again later on in the year. It's Deep Purple's Machine Head.
Right, okay.
Absolutely a stonking album. Okay, it's got Smoke on the Water. Yeah.
I love Smoke. Love it.
I like it, but there are better tracks. I love Highway Star. I've always loved Highway Star. I love John Lord's keyboard solo on it. It's just fantastic. Some of the deep cut tracks off this, Pictures of Home, is brilliant. Lazy is fantastic. It's an all-round rock record that really got me into Deep Purple.
Well, I will admit it's in my 6 bubbling unders, but I won't count it because you've mentioned it, so that means I've got 5 bubbling unders there. I love it as well. Pictures of Home is my favourite track off it, followed by Highway Star, and then Lazy is brilliant as well. Space Truckin' is another fantastic song.
I think that's better live. I love okay, it's 20 minutes, but it's just phenomenal. I mean, I've seen them do it, an 18-minute version at Nebworth Park. Brilliant. And Pictures of Home, I've seen them do that live as well, and it's fantastic live.
Okay, well, my number 5 is an album that got to number 1 for 4 weeks. I think it was at the end of 75, start of 76, and it is Queen's A Night at the Opera. Now, yes, it does have Bohemian Rhapsody on it. I know you're fed up with it. A lot of people are fed up with it, but I'm not. I absolutely love it. It's got Brian May's best song off at 39, which I think is magnificent. The opener of Death on Two Legs going into Lazing on a Sunday afternoon is just fantastic. And then you get the bang of Roger Taylor's I'm in Love with My Car, which is so different, but I think it's excellent again. John Deacon pulls off one of the best pop songs with You're My Best Friend, and then Freddie has one of the best ballads with Love of My Life. And I even like the jaunty, almost musical hall of Seaside Rendezvous. Yeah, fantastic, really good album, and it gets my number 5.
Okay, my number 5, one of my favourite musicians of all time. Got to number 1 on the 5th of October 1974 for 1 week only, believe it or not, and it's Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells.
Okay.
Now, there's a bit of fact for you. Hergus Ridge got to number 1 before Tubular Bells. So, on the success of Hergus Ridge, Tubular Bells got to number 1. I just love Tubular Bells from start to finish. Always have. I mean, my dad brought it when it come out. I mean, it's got an iconic cover, and it's always sort of been in my head from a very young age. And people say, "Oh, yeah," but I think it's my number 1 album because of that. It's something from my childhood that really sticks out, and I love the Sailor's Hornpipe, and I love the version on the box set, which I'm not going to say too much about because that's coming up on the channel very, very shortly. But it's just a great song, album, whatever, epic,
absolutely fantastic, and it's part of my 6 bubbling unders as well, so I won't count it. So I'm now down to 4. Yeah, it actually replaced Hergus Ridge at number 1. So it's a fantastic album. I love Tubular Bells 2, by the way, and I also love Tubular Bells 3. But no, great choice, and I'm glad you had it in your top 10. Well, my number 4 is an album that only got to number 1 for 2 weeks in the end of 1973, and it's Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Classic double album. I did a video with James Griffiths and John Heaton on this just before Christmas, where I look stupid, pretending to be Elton John. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yes. Of course I have. Of course I have. Rob got me onto that, didn't he, on my live stream? So I think everybody watched it.
Check out on James's channel if you haven't seen it. No, it's a brilliant album. 3 fantastic hit singles: Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, the title track, and Candle in the Wind. And then, of course, it's got Benny and the Jets as well, which was a number 1 in America. But it's the opening 2 tracks, which I look at as one track: Funeral for a Friend and Love Lies Bleeding. Probably the best thing Elton has ever done. One's a proggy instrumental, and the second one is a fantastic rock song. But throughout the album, there's so many different styles of music. It's just fantastic. There's not a weak song on it. Okay, there's lesser tracks, but there's nothing there that I would say I dislike, and it's just fantastic. I think it's my number 4.
Oh, my number 4 is from my all-time favourite band ever. From 1976, it was at number 1 for 3 weeks, and it is Blue for You, Status Quo. I didn't go for Hello because I think the production on Blue for You is far superior. I love every track on that album. There's not one bad track on it. Obviously, it's got Mystery Song, the full version of it, the Brilliant Rain, but the best song on there is There a Better Way? Which, watching your Quo video, you know, I know you like that. It's just a driving heavy song, and Alan Lancaster is on fire on that.
Yeah, no, it's a great album. I think I put it as third on my Quo video. Is There a Better Way? It's just a brilliant opener as well to the album. Fantastic. But Mystery Song, you mentioned the full version. That is just unbelievably good. So it is. Whenever you hear it, you think, and I was used to the single version whenever I heard the album. I thought, what on earth is this? This sort of very laid back intro, and then bang, it hits you. You hear that guitar coming in, and you think, oh, here we go. And it's one of the best riffs they ever did. So
yeah, and it's at the end it goes into the country jam of you know. I mean, it's a bit like on down on the level. The end of that is absolutely amazing as well. That bass line is just freaks you out. I mean, they had 3 great number 1 albums in the 70s. The Quo did, and this to me is the pinnacle.
Right, my number 3 is an album that got to number 1 for 10 weeks on a couple of different occasions. Once at the end of '76, and then again in 1977. And of course, for me, it's ABBA, Arrival. Now, I think this is one of the most purest, best pop albums ever. 3 huge singles in Dancing Queen, Money, 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 and Knowing Me, Knowing You. But the other 7 tracks are brilliant. The title track it's like an instrumental, but you do get vocals from the girls. They're just not singing any words. It's like ahs. And it's my all-time favorite ABBA song. Why does it have to be me? With Bjorn singing is my favorite Bjorn-led vocal as well. Maybe that or Another Town, Another Train from Ring Ring. And My Love, My Life is one of the most beautiful ballads that you'll ever hear. And it's Agneta that takes the lead in that. Then you get fun songs like Tiger and When I Kissed the Teacher. Okay, it's a bit inappropriate these days, but everything is. But it's only a bit of fun, and it's a fantastic album. And yeah, 10 weeks in total at number 1, and that's my number 3, ABBA, Arrival.
Great album, because I've got that. And I think it was, when I ranked ABBA, I think it was my number 1 album. It's just an amazing album. So many great songs on it. I love Kiss the Teacher. I think that's a super song. It's a really great arrangement. Forget the words. And it's got Knowing Me, Knowing You, which is my favourite ABBA song. So what more can you tell? I totally agree with you on that one. Okay, my number 3 is one we've already spoken about. It's Bohemian Night of the Opera from Queen. Like you, there's so many great songs on it. I love the Prophet song.
Yeah, brilliant. That's right. Rhapsody.
Yeah, it's a fantastic song. I do like Good Company when they do that rhyming. When you think they're going to say number 2, and he goes 4. I love that line. I love Seaside Rendezvous. They couldn't afford a brass band, so Roger says, "Well, I'll be the brass band." And I just think that thing. And 39 is a classic. What more can you say? It's a brilliant album.
It is indeed. I still think it's probably my favorite Queen album, even though I love Queen 1 as well. But I still would put Night at the Opera at top.
I think it was my number 2. Sheer Heart Attack's my favourite Queen album.
Okay, now the top 2. These are my 2 favourite albums of all time, by the way. So number 2 is my second favourite album of all time. And it has spent a total of 33 weeks, if my counting is correct, at number 1 between 1970 and 1971. And it's Simon & Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water. Absolute perfection. I know you love the title track because it was your number one single of the 70s, and it is magnificent. Cecilia and Keep the Customer Satisfied are great fun. The Boxer is just immense. Baby Driver's great fun. The Only Living Boy in New York is probably my favourite song off the album. And I even like Bye Bye Love with the hand claps. If you take away the hand claps, the song would be nothing and it shouldn't be on there. But with the hand claps, it really makes it. And then the wee beautiful song for the asking at the very end. It's a perfect album. There's not a song I love every song. My least favourite is probably El Condor Pasa. I still love it as well. So my number 2 is Bridge Over Troubled Water. 33 weeks at number 1. Oh, and you really had to sell records in those days to get to number 1 as well. So fantastic album. So Bridge Over Troubled Water.
And guess what? My number 2 is
Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Yeah, all the same reasons as you said. I've watched it. I mean, the first time it was at number 1 was the 4 weeks, and that was June 70. July 70, 5 weeks. October 1 week, and then it twice. January 71, 3 weeks. July 71, 5 weeks, and then another 1 week in September 71. Albums don't do that now.
No, they don't.
And that's why I think it's probably one of the best albums of the 70s. I mean, I'm doing like you. My number 1 out. These are my favourite albums of the 70s. Number 1 albums. Yeah,
it's my number 2 album of all time. So that means my number 1 now is my favourite album of all time. And anybody that knows my channel knows what this is. And this is the reason I could not include Aladdin Sane. Because my favourite album of all time is Diamond Dogs by David Bowie. 4 weeks at number 1 in 1974. Now, this is a little bit like the Stones, Goat's Head Soup, where there's so many different styles of music, but it all works so well. You've got Diamond Dogs itself, which is the best Rolling Stones song that the Rolling Stones never did. I'm going to skip the Sweet Thing medley for the moment. You've Rebel Rebel, his last shot at glam, and what a riff. You've got When You Rock and Roll With Me, which is absolutely gorgeous ballad. You have the almost gothic feel of We Are the Dead, which is a fantastic song. And then you get that almost Shaft type funk of 1984, which is brilliant. And then the almost futuristic sound of Big Brother going into the chant of the ever circling skeletal family, which is the weirdest track you'll ever get, but it's so, so good. And then going back to that medley of Sweet Thing Candidate, Sweet Thing Reprise, that's the best recording ever made for me. As Bowie's voice is unbelievable. I really don't know how to describe it. It's as if he's in a club way back in the day, a smoky club at 2 o'clock in the morning. He's crooning. It's just so, so good. Absolutely love it. It's my favourite album all time. Diamond Dogs, David Bowie.
Great album. I was listening to that the other week as well, and I'm really enjoying revisiting these early Bowie albums. My number 1. This is my favourite album of the 70s. Again, only because it was drilled into my head. 1978, when you've already mentioned Fleetwood Mac's Rumours.
Oh, okay, good.
I just love this. There's not a bad track on it. It's the perfect album for me. Okay, I'm like you. Goldust Woman. It's not the best track on the album, but that doesn't mean I don't dislike it.
It's so daddy. I'm not that keen on it.
No, so daddy. That's what I meant. Don't mind. I love. It's the weakest one on the album, but it's still a brilliant track.
No, fantastic choice. So Diamond Dogs and Rumours, 2 brilliant albums.
2 brilliant albums.
So do you want to do the 3 bubbling unders?
Yeah, I'll do my 3 bubbling unders for a change first. First one is from another of my favourite bands, Electric Light Orchestra, The Discovery.
Yeah, well,
great album. Confusion, Diaries of Horace Wimp, and Don't Bring Me Down. Then I've got my favourite Led Zeppelin album of all time, Physical Graffiti. 1975, 1 week. ELO was 5 weeks, I forgot to mention. Favourite tracks on there, Custard Pie Rover, In My Time Dying in Kashmir. And my third is a Pink Floyd album from 1975. I love Dark Side of the Moon, but I love Wish You Were Here.
Yeah.
Purely on the Shine On You Crazy Diamond. The hot, both parts, fantastic. The song Wish You Were Here and Welcome to the Machines is just phenomenal.
All good choices. Well, my taking away the Tubular Bells and Machine Head, I've actually got 4, and I'm going to give the 4.
Hang on. I think I've got another one. But one of the heaviest albums I've got, Paranoid, Black Sabbath, 1971. War Pigs, Iron Man, Hand of Doom, Wearing Fair Boots. What more do you want?
Well, my 4 are 1 week at 1974 for Slade's Old, New, Borrowed and Blue.
Right.
Kind of prefer it slightly over Slade. I have also Led Zeppelin's Houses of the Holy from 1973, which is a relatively new one for me, and it got my number 1 of my Led Zeppelin ranking. I have Status Quo's Hello, which got to number 1 for 1 week in 73. And this one had to get in, and I really wanted this in the top 10, and it's a number 1 album in 77 for 2 weeks. Can you guess?
7. God, there's so many good albums in 77.
Give you a clue.
Revolver. No, that was... No, go on. It's too early in the morning.
It's the Sex Pistols. Never mind the bollocks.
Oh, what an album.
It is fantastic. It really is. I don't play it that much, but it is brilliant. So those are my bubbling unders.
Well, there you go, folks. It was a little bit different, but it's funny that our number two album is the same. A lot of repeats during the top 10, but in different orders. So it wasn't that different, to be quite honest.
It wasn't. I thought it would be more different. I thought your number 1 was actually going to be the Zepp album. Which one is it? The 75 album, and I can't remember the
Graffiti.
Physical Graffiti, yeah.
I come into that a bit later in my life. The ones that are in my top 10 are things that mean something to me from my childhood more than anything. And that's why they're in my top 10. The other ones, okay, Discovery, if it would have been out of the blue, different kettle of fish.
Okay.
So
it was great. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes. I suppose we better have a stab at the 80s at some stage.
Yeah, why not? Why not, indeed? I think
well,
it'll be a lot.
Just looking at the thing, yeah. Done that within the 30 minutes again. We're getting good at this.
4 minutes and a half left.
Yes. Well, as always, Richard, it's always a pleasure to do these with you. I know both that people in our subscribers love us working together. So, except I don't. Then Rob called us dastardly and muttly. Yes. Yeah, it was absolutely fabulous to work with you again. That's me for the weekend. I'm going to watch some rugby now and put this up. This will be up later today. And I'll be back on Monday where we've got the first part of the John Mitchell story, doing the Urbane, and a great album from Frank Zappa and the classic album Hot Rats. And then on Tuesday, we've got the new Seekers that you're looking forward to.
Oh, yes, at last.
Yes. So, thank you very much for watching. I'm sure you'll enjoy this. And I'll see you soon. And Richard, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.